Hello, SpongicX here with more footage of custom stages from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And first we have Bandina Waddle Dee from Kirby Return to Dreamland. So this is a custom stage I found on the community. Lucky hit.
Bingo!
Anyone else wish Bayonetta's final smash just skipped right to the climax instead of having to force you to build up for it? It's pretty stupid. And here we have Con Street from Bikini Bottom in SpongeBob. I was gonna make this stage at first until I saw so many people have already beaten me to it, so instead I decided to make, another stage based off of SpongeBob that I haven't seen anyone else do, and I already posted it in a previous video, but I made Sandy's Tree Dome, and I thought that one turned out fine. But I really do like this stage, and I like how not only they recreate the houses, but they even recreated the characters a bit, gave them their own little unique animations, or what little limited, well, from what limitations you have don't have much to work with, but it's still pretty fun to see that whoever made the stage did the best they could. So that's it. You have no idea how many times there are so many stage ideas I have where I try making it and I have to scrap it because the limitations prevent me from making it look decent. It's like, darn it, if only it was more advanced, not so low poly and restricted, a lot of my stages would end up looking so much better, but I'm not gonna lie, I have more fun playing as the Inklings in Smash Bros. Than I do playing Splatoon in general. I mean, Splatoon's a nice idea for a game, but really the best part of it is just the online mode and the fact that there's no real way to play the main multiplayer mode in an offline format is what really sucks. I mean, it'd be nice to be able to play the game with CPU players, not always have to require connecting online and make sure other players are ready. Because if I've learned anything from online video games is that you can't rely on them forever. Eventually they're gonna shut down, and it doesn't matter how much money you spent on that game, you're just not going to be able to play it anymore because it ran too much online, and once that online's gone, there you go. That's one reason I love Super Smash Bros. I barely ever go online with it, especially because of how terrible the online is. That's the thing, the game is good enough on its own, so I don't need online to make it fun. That, and I just think the Inklings have a much better moveset in this. It's so inspired by Splatoon, but it has one thing that Splatoon never bothered to do, not even in the sequel. It allows you to use multiple weapons in a match, and I like that. I hate how Splatoon 2 didn't even give you an option to like switch weapons in the middle of respawn points, even if you're like. I think that would be an interesting strategy. Like if before starting a match, you're forced to pick between either 2 or 3 weapons. So like you pick like which one will be your starting weapon, then you can pick like which ones you can switch between. You know, which ones do you think you'll need in a match, and that would have been a really neat idea. And I was really disappointed with Splatoon 2 overall. I thought it was a huge waste of money, and I personally thought Splatoon 1 played a lot better because the Wii U gamepad just works so much better with the motion controls, and I do not like the Joy-Cons when it comes to motion controls. I think they're terrible. I mean, they're a neat idea. I love the concept of Joy-Cons. I just think they are a very flawed controller. There's a lot of games where they feel very unresponsive to control inputs, and it's like, you know, you're better off just using the Pro controller. Heck, I've even seen like $20 USB controllers that work better than the Joy-Cons, and so it's a real shame that Splatoon 2 is, you know, it's a full-price game. It claims it's a sequel, but it barely feels like a sequel. Yes, it technically does have a story mode that's not quite the exact same as the first, but it still feels too similar. I mean, even the final battle felt very recycled. The main lobby felt too familiar, a lot of the music felt too familiar. It did not feel like a sequel at all. Honestly, the DLC for the Octoling expansion, that felt more like a sequel. That should have been the main game, if you ask me. Heck, it should have been included with the game without any extra cost. But I don't know. I still, you know, I'm glad that there are people who are enjoying Splatoon 2, but for me personally, I thought that was a huge waste of money. I really regret buying that. It's a shame that such a fun concept is ruined by online restrictions, limited time events, and, you know, I just want to be able to play the game on my own without having to worry about constantly connecting to the internet. You know, that Nintendo Online is just a terrible service. Honestly, I just wish, while Nintendo and Microsoft seem to be coming to terms, I just wish Nintendo would offer to have Microsoft replace Nintendo Online with Xbox Live, because they clearly have the better internet, and I mean, we're getting Xbox Live support for achievements and stuff like that, so why not just go full all the way and just have, you know, Xbox Live available as Switch's, you know, main online network? Might as well.
1, go!
So here's a stage I made. It's called Dear Sakurai. It's just a stage that spells out the words "Bring back trophies." This is actually a very tough stage to fight on. As we can see, a CPU of Ridley is having trouble navigating it, but eventually I'll have my fair share of having trouble navigating through it as well. It's funny how you just make a stage as a joke and it turns out to be a real challenging stage regardless. I did not intend for this stage to be a ricochet fest. It makes the stage more fun though, even if it is kind of flawed. I can see stages like these making like the so-called pro Smash Bros. Gamers, you know, just cry and whine. Oh, it's not Final Destination! There's items! It's too hard for me to play, it has to be simple. I'm sorry, that's the impression they give me, because They act like they're so cool. They act like they're the best gamers when honestly they're playing it the safest they can. They play it without items. They play it without any stage obstacles. I mean, that's not playing like a professional. That's playing like a coward. A real Smash Bros. Game doesn't care whether they win or lose. They just want to have fun with all these different Nintendo characters. And if they win, they win. If they lose, they lose. And dang it, I had a Final Smash too. Got lucky there. Dang it. I was so close to knocking him out. Here's another stage I made. It's just simply Bowser from a front view. If I was able to, I would have drawn on like his little spike, those little spike bracelet things that he has around his arms. I'm not sure what you call those, but bands, I guess. But unfortunately, the stage is at max capacity, so I had to make it look like Bowser was going sleeveless, basically. For what it is, though, I think the stage turned out fine. I think this is the best version of the airship theme, the one that was made for Super Smash Bros. Brawl. It was originally just an alternate tune you could unlock for the Luigi's Mansion stage, but luckily it's made a comeback in every Smash Bros. Ever since. And now it can be used in not only any Mario stage, but even any custom stage. It's funny though, to be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of a lot of the music tracks they made for Brawl. I thought a lot of them sounded worse than the source material they're from, but this is one where I was like, actually, this is better than the original. I think they did a really good job at remaking the airship theme. Although I didn't like the stage very much, I honestly do really love the remix they did for the Donkey Kong arcade, for the 75mm stage, if that's what it's called, I can't remember. That's a stage that disappointed me. Honestly, I think a stage based off the first Donkey Kong arcade game could have worked, but honestly, it should have been modeled after the first stage. Just like climbing up the ladders, dodging the barrels. Why was that never a stage in Smash Brothers? Yeah, they paid tribute to it in the PictoChat 2 stage, but it's not the same. That's one thing I kind of find funny about Stage Builder, though. In a way, it kind of feels like you're creating your own little PictoChat drawing, because I remember ever since Brawl introduced PictoChat as a playable stage, I was just thinking like, man, wouldn't that be cool if they made like a Smash Bros. Where you could actually create your own PictoChat stage, like you could actually draw all the shapes and have them do stuff. And while it's not animated or quite as advanced as, you know, the PictoChat obstacles, it's still really cool how it's a similar concept, especially if you decide to make your stage just black and white, because you can heck, although the Wii U one introduced being able to draw elements out for stage building, it didn't let you draw lines, unfortunately. I remember you were only allowed to draw solid shapes, and they didn't overlap each other very well either. In this one, it looks like you can overlap the obstacles. Well, I mean, the things you draw out, but it doesn't always quite match up. There are certain times where I try drawing pupils on a character, and it ends like you can even see it in this stage, how they look all misshapen. Nothing I can do about it, though. So here's a stage I made based off my series concept, Knick, Clunk, and Treela. Here we have a character called Beth the Bunny. She is a blonde rabbit with the ability to create portals that can warp her friends around. Well, that's the main purpose she's used for. She's basically like the transporter, but she basically has the ability to teleport. And so I thought it'd be fun to create 4 portals and have it where, depending on which one you land, it warps into a different part of her And I also like how I was able to get her ears to move in the background, although they are a little off if you look closely, but I did the best I could with the limitations. This is actually a pretty time-consuming stage. I should have played this with the time limit on, but I probably should have made the portals like a little more spread out, but I didn't want this stage to feel like a death trap, per se. Sheesh. Are you kidding me? I do find that funny how some of the assist trophies cause the background to change. It looks like Beth is creating an even bigger warp portal. That's what's really fun about some of these stage builder stages, when like an item effect happens and it somehow blends in with the stage. Like, I've got quite a few videos, like in some future releases, that will show like some either epic or really funny effects that just blend in so well. Hey, wait a minute, I thought Knick was the one who had fire powers. I like how even the Pong physics are affected by custom stages. That's interesting. What's Guile doing? He's just stuck up there at the top right. The magic conch shell. This was actually one of the first custom stages I downloaded. So I thought this one was really cool. It's basically just an NES console where in the background is a giant screen TV with Super Mario Bros. 1 on the screen. I thought this was really creative. They even have the controllers as platforms. You see like how in the background it looks like there's a red carpet, and I love these kind of creative stages where although, you know, what you're working with is very limited, you can still tell what the people who are making these stages had in mind. There are some stages where they're just so messed up, you're wondering, like, what the heck were the creators trying to make with this? Crystal, she should have been playable, damn it. Her staff is so much more capable than just shooting ice. As seen in Star Fox Adventures, when Fox was using it, I mean, he was able to create earthquakes, blast into the air, shoot fire, and it's like all Crystal's reduced to is just swiping and shooting ice. It's like, dang it. Was Sakurai trying to, like, make it look like, see, why do you people want her playable? This is all she can do, because a lot of the diehard Crystal fans know she's more capable than that. And I really do hope we someday get, like, if not, you know, some kind of either reboot or remake of Star Fox Adventures, or just a new Star Fox game in general that properly reintroduces Crystal, gives her a bigger part, because I personally love Star Fox Adventures, but it is sad to know that Crystal was originally supposed to be the main character, and then she was just reduced to the damsel in distress just because, you know, Miyamoto thought the main character, well, her brother looked like Fox, and so they rewrote the brother character as Star Fox, and gave Crystal a big decline in, what her role used to be. So, yeah, like, a part of me does want to, you know, I hated how Star Fox Zero tried acting like she never existed. You know, they tried rebooting the series yet again, and what made it more insulting was how it was just a complete rehash of Star Fox and Star Fox 64 with barely anything different, except for a real annoying gimmicky control scheme. And so, a part of me is just like, dang it, why can't they just, you know, it's like, yes, a lot of people complain that Star Fox Adventures was too much like Legend of Zelda, so let's see them make a proper remake of Star Fox Adventures that actually feels like a mixture of classic Star Fox and even on-foot gameplay. So it's like, you know, so if they were to give the chance to start all over, let's give Crystal a bigger part, you know, like, have two intertwining stories, one for Star Fox, one for Crystal, and then eventually it leads up to them, you know, like, crossing paths, and we see, you know, we see further development in, like, how Crystal became a member of Star Fox, and, you know, I really do want to see them give Crystal another chance, because, you know, either a lot of people don't know about this character, or we have some really disturbing fans who make, like, real sick fetish art of her, and so it's like, you know, this Nintendo needs to give the chance to give this character the proper respect she deserves. It's just pretty sad to know, like, what she's become over the years. And hell, I loved her role in Star Fox Assault, because for what little development she had in Star Fox Adventures, I loved seeing her as, you know, an actual member of Star Fox, even if it wasn't explained. I thought she was a very valuable member to the team. She wasn't just there for fan service. She actually had a role in the game. She became Fox's love interest, and I honestly thought they made a great couple. And then Star Fox Command happened, and it turned the whole series into a terrible fan fiction with alternate endings, and a lot of people say Star Fox Zero ruined the series. I say Star Fox Command did. I actually like Star Fox Zero a lot more than Command. Command is the only entry in the series I absolutely hated. I did not care for it whatsoever. I hated the story, I hated the gameplay. I mean, it was an interesting idea. I'm not against the idea of making a more strategy-based Star Fox game, but I really missed, like, the action levels. I missed the dog fights, and I wouldn't have minded if it was, like, you know, a regular Star Fox game that occasionally had, like, these little strategy segments where you had to draw out a strategy plan and see if you could beat it under these limitations. I mean, that would have worked as, like, little side missions, but as for the whole game, that was just really annoying. I missed the proper boss fights, the proper action stages, and, but, however, that's one reason why Star Fox Assault is honestly one of my favorite Star Fox games, because, you know, I loved Star Fox 64, but then after playing Super Smash Brothers and, you know, seeing how we actually got to control Fox on foot for once, a part of me wondered, like, man, you know, I actually really want a Star Fox game where we can control Fox outside of his vehicle. Star Fox Adventures gave us that. The problem is there were barely any vehicle segments. And the vehicle segments in there were actually really boring and forgettable. They almost felt pointless. They were just level transitions, basically. And so when Star Fox Assault came out, it was the best of both. We finally got a game where we could get in and out of the vehicle. Some levels forced you to stay in the vehicle the whole time. Some forced you to stay on land the whole time. Some forced you to, well, allowed you to switch back and forth between them. The multiplayer mode was a blast because of that feature, and part of me was like, why, you know, that's one reason why Star Fox Zero was kind of a disappointment to me, because I was comparing it to how great Star Fox Assault was, both gameplay and story. I also thought Star Fox Assault had a very decent plot for what was a sequel to Star Fox Adventure. It was more of a sequel to Star Fox Assault, though, in a way. Well, I mean, it was more of a sequel to Star Fox 64, kind of, but it took place shortly after Star Fox Adventures, it seemed like. And I thought it did a good job at linking those two games together. Because a lot of people gave Star Fox Adventures a hard time for barely feeling like a Star Fox game. And honestly, I thought Star Fox Adventures did a good job at explaining how, although it's not a traditional Star Fox game, it still felt like it belonged in that universe. They were on a different planet. It felt like, you know, I love that aspect of the game. It gave you an idea of what would it be like if Fox, you know, went on a mission that is, you know, outside of his comfort zone. He's so used to flying around in his ship and, you know, like shooting down enemies. So being forced to go on a planet that's bound to collapse and he has to, you know, not use his, like, blaster weapons, I thought they set it up perfectly. They showed how Fox was against the idea, but he had no choice but to do it, to carry on the mission. And, you know, I thought the staff combat was pretty fun, and I loved the graphics for it. It was very good for its time. It had so much attention to detail, and it's like when you compare it to a lot of other GameCube games, it's like, it really stands out, and it makes you wonder why the heck, well, it makes you realize, dang, it's such a shame that this was the only game we got from Rare on GameCube. What would have, what other amazing GameCube games could we have gotten if Microsoft never bought them? Well, that's all I have to say for now. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.